Hello you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. So in today's video, we are going to be doing another one of my MLM horror story videos. So if you've seen, this is actually horror story number 99, which is insane to see that in a month, we're gonna be at 100. So if you would like me to continue this series on, please send me your MLM horror story or any scam story. I do add scam stories along with the MLM horror stories series as long as you guys send them to me. So if you wanna know where to send your MLM horror stories, I have that in the description box down below. It should be just an email that is deannamims.horrorstories@gmail.com, but you can always clarify that in the description below. So today I believe that I have 4 horror stories to read for y'all. So this first one actually came with a lot of information. So not only did this person send me their story, but they also sent me a bunch of other things. So MLM fails, they sent me voice recordings, like a bunch of other things for a different video if I would like to do one, but they did decide to add their story along with it. And I thought it was an important one to share, mostly because of the revenue and expense page that this person showcases, which I talk about so much in any of my videos where I talk about multi-level marketing companies. So I thought that that would be very important to show. So let's go. Grab your snack, grab your coffee, grab your tea. I already had my coffee today as I was watching the show Suits. So now I just have my big jug of water in my Simply Modern cup. So it starts off saying, for years before August of 2013, I was the best person to invite to an at-home party, whether it was Pampered Chef, Pure Romance, Leah Sophia, Premier Jewelry, Tastefully Simple, Scentsy, 31 Bags, Beachbody, Melaleuca, etc. I could always be counted on to purchase items from those consultants and hostesses, though I would not consider the option of hosting a party of my own or considering the business opportunity. Little did I think that I would join an MLM company, but I thought that Rodan & Fields was different. First of all, this opportunity was presented to me by my cousin from Texas. We spoke on and off at the time. She knew that I was an entrepreneur with my own website design business. Oh my gosh, that's exciting that you already have your own business. She goes, I believed this was different because my cousin was an accounting professional and I didn't expect her to be involved in one of those businesses. So after I discussed the opportunity with her, I watched a video from one of her far uplines. Oh. The person actually linked this video. And then she said, I also got on a 3-way call with her upline, so I decided to take this on. I went to trainings in the city near me, went to leadership summits in other states that required flights and hotel stays, conventions, etc. At those events, they do a very good job of insulting you and discouraging you from listening to external sources, including close friends and family. I dove in and didn't look back for over 9 years. I was brainwashed, but I did not know it. After watching the Lula Rich documentary on Amazon Prime, I began to come out of this state of being brainwashed. In October of 2022, I began to look at my profit and losses for my Rodan & Fields, quote, business, end quote. I did not even calculate the expenses from traveling for conferences, etc. Just in terms of product purchases and fees paid monthly and monthly commissions, I have been operating at a $9,000 plus loss all in all. This was a very hard pill to swallow. I'm a smart, educated woman. I received my master's degree from a highly respected university. How did I fall prey to this opportunity? They are very great at manipulating you and brainwashing you to stay in, and that you're so close to having a breakdown. So I agree so much with what this person said. In general, events like those summits or just trips that you go on, they really will emphasize the top reps. They will try and get you to want to be one of those reps. They will try and relate those reps to you. They will also most of the time discourage you from listening to external sources, like listening to people on social media or watching videos or anything like that. They're going to tell you that by listening to those people, they're just haters. None of it's true. Those people just want you to fail. And I can definitely see where she talks about, them discouraging you from also listening to very close friends. That is also a thing that happens. So now I want to look at her revenue expense page. So it looks as if she was in Rodan Rodan & Fields for 10 years. So she was in Rodan & Fields from 2013 to 2023. And I think that this is such an important thing, mostly because when you're in an MLM, you most likely don't do these things. And that's why I talk about them so much, because I was in an MLM. If this is your first video of mine watching, I was in the MLM Beachbody. And in that company, they never taught you how to look at your income and expenses, look at your profit, how to calculate it. They never talked about that. So most people don't end up doing it because most people who join MLMs don't have actual business expertise. Year 2013, this person made in the complete year $1,145, but they spent $6,339. They were at a negative $5,193. So something that I think is important about looking at her profit sheet is the fact that she said she didn't calculate the trips. So if she lost $9,000 without even calculating trips, I would be very curious to know over a 10-year span how many trips she went on, because normally there's about 1 to 3 trips a year that you have the opportunity of going on depending on what rank you're at. So I definitely would find it interesting to see. Now, on my own personal research, I definitely found that the average person in an MLM will spend anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,500 or $900 to $1,500 per trip. So she could definitely be way more out of money if she were to add up all of the trips and the money she spent on them. Now that we're looking, 2013, she was negative $5,000. In 2014, she made at the end of the year $4,416, but she spent $8,174. So while she was up in income, she was also up in her expenses, and that made her at a negative $3,758. So in 2015, she made about $5,200 while she spent around $6,700. So she was at a negative $1,473. So then in 2016, she made $5,800, and then she spent $4,800. So she was in the positive about $977. Then we'll see it from 2017 to 2020. At the end of the year, she was in the negative. So for 2017, she was negative about $780. 2018 in the negative about $1,600. 2019, she was in the negative by about $500. In 2020, she was in the negative about $9. Then from 2021 to 2023, she was in the positive. So she made in 2021, $1,800. In 2022, she made at the end of the year $804, while in 2023, she made $779 as of the time since she got out. So in the end, she made $42,129, but she spent $51,203. So that means with the difference and looking at her profit, she was still in the negative about $9,073. And again, keep in mind, this does not include this person going on trips, the things she spent on trips and stuff like that. So it is interesting to see someone who was in an MLM for 10 years, who did have a couple years where they were in the positive. But again, after expenses, she was in the negatives about $9,000. So that is very rough to see. I feel like when you leave an MLM, the most gut-wrenching thing about it is looking at this, and so many people will not make a sheet like this. They're not going to go over their profit. They're not going to look at their income and expenses and try to see how much money they lost because they don't want to know. But I know it took me months on months on months to even want to go through my bank statements and figure out how much I made versus how much I lost, because I just knew in the back of my mind that I was definitely going to be in the negatives, which I also was. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Let's move on to the next horror story. So this next story says, "Hi Deanna, you can call me G, as I am legitimately concerned at retaliation for telling this story. This is a little different than most scam and MLM stories you cover, but I still consider it a scam. Sometimes as a young actress, I find that the industry can be quite a lot like a run-of-the-mill scam. I am sure lots of actors in the comments will say that this is normal and that I am just a young, inexperienced baby actor who doesn't know the industry yet, but I still believe that this was unjust and scammy. This is the story of how a creative and casting team got away with scamming 400 odd individuals into being basically a marketing ploy and ad for them. This winter, I decided to attend a seemingly important open audition call for a well-known musical. I am in the US, so this was for Broadway and national tour productions. There was quite a lot of buzz around this among performers. I asked my vocal/performance coach for his advice and whether or not I should audition. Looking back, I can see he was probably wanting to interfere, but felt like it wasn't his place and that I'm a young woman with a very strong will and might not want to listen to no. However, I admire him heavily and trust/look up to him, so I believe I would have been inclined to take his advice had he said it wasn't a good idea. What he told me was that if I wanted to go, then I should, and that at the very least I would be having an experience. Needless to say, I went. I traveled to another city and spent several $100s in food accommodations, etc. over that weekend. The open call itself was a mess. The check-in process was kind of disorganized. I waited outside in line for 2 hours, but it was 40-something degrees and I was freezing. Attached are screenshots of conversations with my vocal coach where I was recalling the experience to him as it happened. Although I waited 9 hours to be seen for a couple of minutes and sing for probably less than a minute, this also isn't that unusual. The team told us randomly after lunch that us who remained could only sing 16 bars, and then she put in quote measures, of our prepared audition song cut. The call had said 16 to 32 bars. This meant most of us had prepared about a minute and a half of music for the panel and had to pick out the most important 45 seconds or so to perform instead. What upset me is realizing that they proceeded to basically cast only equity actors with existing resumes for the next rotation of cast. It dawned on me that this open call wasn't really meant to put young, undiscovered performers in front of casting. The reason this was done was to generate buzz and intrigue surrounding this show, which worked. There were people at this call who flew halfway across the country to the city the call took place in order to attend. All 400 odd people there had been scammed out of hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars so this musical could have a publicity stunt and save a bunch on advertising. Very few people spoke out in any way. There's been basically no consequences as far as bad PR or anything. Thank you for listening. So thank you for sharing your story. I actually haven't gotten any stories about the acting industry or anything like that, or the entertainment industry, I should say. So I would be really curious kind of the things that actually happen in auditions, how are they supposed to go, and looking at the background of that, because I've never really thought about looking into that. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And I am sorry that you had to stand there for 9 hours, and seeing that they just did this for a publicity stunt would also really frustrate me, because that's not cool that they were just having people audition so they could only hire specific people. They should have just asked just those specific people to come out and audition for the show. So that definitely is a bit sketchy. But let me know if you're someone that's in the entertainment industry. I would love to know kind of your experience on going to auditions and going to shows and stuff like that. I know that I did go to a couple Disney auditions when I was a kid. My mom would have me go just because I would always mention that I was be interested in acting and stuff like that, but I never really ended up going past that point. I would go to auditions, but then if I got callbacks and stuff, I wouldn't really go to them. I don't know why though. I should ask my mom, because I knew that I got called back for a couple of things before as a kid, but then my mom never sent me back to the callbacks or anything like that. But I do remember doing auditions when I was a kid, and then I kind of never went into acting or anything like that in the end. Okay, so the next story. So this story starts off with saying, "Hi Deanna, I love your channel. I watch many anti-MLM content creators and still amazed that this industry still manages to exist. My story is short, but sadly still relevant after 26 years. Please feel free to use my name. My former husband came home and told me that a coworker, David, invited us to dinner so we could get to know him and his wife and discuss a business opportunity. Hubby was curious and definitely interested, but I had a bad feeling. I can't say that I was really knowledgeable about other MLMs. For example, my mom bought her makeup from the Avon lady, but I didn't think it was any big deal because all the women in the neighborhood bought from her. But I definitely knew about Amway. My older sister and her husband were big into her own business and tried several times to sign me up under them. We arrived at David's apartment, greetings were made, and we all got comfortable in the living room. His wife was lovely and passed out glasses of wine, and then David said, quote, "So about this business I just started," end quote. I looked at him and said, "Fine, we'll hear you out, just as long as it isn't Amway." David immediately looked startled and said, "Oh no, it's my own company." He explained how this business was different and things I had heard were so wrong. But if it really was his new business, how would I have heard anything? But he knew that I knew, and I wasn't having any of it. His wife sensed that this wasn't going to play out as they hoped, and she suddenly announced that there was an emergency and they were so sorry, but they needed to reschedule dinner. We set the wine glasses down, said we were also sorry, hope everything's okay, and promptly left. I was relieved because I knew that we got out of there unscathed, but my husband started yelling at me in the car saying that I made David uncomfortable and why hadn't I kept my mouth shut? Maybe it was a wonderful opportunity and we might have lost out on another stream of income. I explained to him that despite his brilliance, he has degrees in electrical engineering, physics, and computer science, and is truly one of the most intelligent people I know. He didn't know everything, and I just saved us from untold agony. I explained how Amway works on the way home, and he finally calmed down when he realized that it was truly not possible to make money, and we would have lost way more than we could have ever made. Like you, I always tell people it doesn't matter how smart you are, anyone can be swept up in an MLM. Take care and please keep making these videos. Like many others, I truly believe you're doing God's work. Have a fabulous day. Thank you, Lisa. So yeah, thank the Lord you said something, because definitely don't want you to get roped up into MLMs, but I'm also glad that like your spouse wanted to hear you out on things, even though he was a bit frustrated in the beginning, a little bit mad, but then once you told him about Amway and he's seen like, this is the truth, I have family in this, that he realized that, yeah, this isn't like the opportunity that you should be getting yourself into or that y'all should have been getting yourself into. It's also so interesting to me that MLM reps love to state that MLMs are not oversaturated, but if you really look into it, MLMs are completely oversaturated. This was 26 years ago, okay? This wonderful lady Lisa has already had many people in her family in Amway, and then a random person also invites them to join Amway. It just shows like even 26 years ago how much these MLMs were talked about and how many people were joining them and were already in them. So this is the last story that I am going to read. It says, MLM horror story. Hey Deanna, my name is Sylvia. Feel free to use my name. I'm from Portugal and I've somehow been immune to MLMs for 27 years. Well, as you can tell, not anymore. The other day, I got an email from Upwork, the platform I use to find legit freelance work, you know, the kind that pays you for your time, with an invite to a job that was posted on the platform. I get these a lot, at least a handful every week. So I went to see what it was about to see if I could help the client. I'll include a screenshot I took right before declining the job. Sorry, I didn't get the whole thing. But as I opened the job post, one thing stood out right away. The talk about the potential to generate a steady 6 to 7 figure annual income. I was immediately like, this reeks of MLM. They also had a YouTube video linked there with more info, so of course I had to check that out too. At first, I gotta say, it looked good, and I'll admit, I had never heard of this company before. But then the truth came out. They literally say in the video, we are not an MLM. To which I'm like, if you weren't, why would you feel the need to specify it? Plus, a little later, and they start to list out how growing a team can get you more money and yada yada. Here's the video in case you want to watch it. Hi, Kai. I gotta read the rest of this story. I am at least 90% sure that this is an MLM. Maybe you can figure it out better than me. I searched them on Google, and the first suggested search was apricot solar pyramid scheme. So again, not looking good for them. Anyways, maybe a bit of a different story since I didn't actually get scammed by them, but my hope is that this can serve as a warning to your audience in case they come across the company as well. I actually made a video about it on my own channel too. I do a lot of videos on freelance tips and scams. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm going to link her channel below. And although my audience isn't that big, I share your goal that if I can help one person avoid being scammed, that's rewarding enough for me. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm going to link her channel down below. I do get so many questions of people asking like, what are avenues and ways that I can work from home? What are things I can do? So this person does have a channel that kind of goes over freelance tips and scams so that you hopefully don't get scammed. I also think she brought up a good point of if you have to say you're not an MLM, you probably are, or if you're not an MLM and you have to say that you're not, it's because you're super close to being one. Like your rules, how they go, how you sell products, how you recruit people is very, very, very similar to an MLM that you might as well call it one. So I definitely agree with her in that sense. Like if you have to be like, I'm not in an MLM, you should probably ask yourself, what are you in? It's like Modere. I don't know actually, is this video going up before or after that video? I can't remember, but I have a Modere video coming out, or it already came out, where I react to a team call that I got into thanks to a follower of mine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sending it to me. But in that video, the person says, we're not an MLM, we're social retail. It's the same thing. MLM, network marketing, social retail. If you recruit people into a company and you make money off what they do, and the recruits can then recruit, and you have a pyramid of people that make money based on recruiting other people and selling a product, that's an MLM to me. So it doesn't matter what like word or name people want to put on them or put on their MLM to make it seem like they're not an MLM. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Okay. So that's going to be all for today's MLM horror stories. So again, I would love to read y'all's MLM horror stories for horror story number 100. So if you would like to send me your story, definitely make sure to do that. And if you watch this video all the way through, leave a sun emoji. Actually, leave a sun emoji or a moon emoji. So if you like the sun, if you like the daytime, or if you're a night owl, comment sun or moon depending on that. I know some people prefer like early rise morning, so you'd be a sun person. And then if you like evenings, if you're a little bit of a night owl like I used to be, and like my body continues to try and make me with and having insomnia, then comment below a moon. So yeah, with that being said, I would love to see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Now this stuff, and then, no, rewind. How much, and then, which I made David uncomfortable, and that's why I was immediately, delete.